Hello students, let's read the problem. And it says, the square FGHJ was transformed using the rule xy changed to negative yx to create the square f prime, g prime, h prime, and j prime. Which of the following statement is true about the transformation? So we're looking for a true statement, right? And it says that it was transformed. It doesn't say what kind of transformation was it, but I want you to look at the rule that is given to you so that you can analyze it and say, what does that look like, right? Now, that kind of rule that is given to us is not going to be for a translation. It's not going to be for a dilation either, okay? Because remember, if it was a translation, I would need to have a plus 5 minus 3 or something like that. If it was a dilation, I would need to have a coefficient multiplying my x and my y values, right? And the x and the y don't change like that on a translation, neither on a dilation, right? So what about in a reflection? In a reflection, I do know that they change to negatives, but the x and the y don't change in that way. The only transformation that does that is that rotation, okay? Very good. So very important that we see the rule and we start thinking about what transformation is happening. So this is going to be a rotation. And I know now the question is it a clockwise, counterclockwise, and things like that, right? So it can go both directions. The degrees is the only thing that is gonna make a difference, right? So what we're gonna do right now is I want you to identify some of the points that are given to you so that we can analyze them, okay? So we're gonna start with you can give me any points. We can do F if you want to. And then of course we're gonna write down what would that look like as a once the transformation happens, right? So let's start with F. Now for F, it's gonna be negative 5 and 8, right? And if I apply the rule, right, which is 90 degrees counterclockwise, right, I am gonna have to say that this is my X and this is my Y, right? My Y becomes a negative because I multiply by a -1, and the X is gonna stay as it is, right? So we have -8, -5. And then we're gonna go to G, okay? So G is 3 and 8. My G prime, remember this is X and Y. The Y is gonna change to the opposite and the X stays the same, okay? Then we're gonna go to H, okay? And H, it's -3, 3 and 1, positive, both of them, right? And this is X and Y. So the Y changes to the opposite, right? And the X just comes to the Y value, but in the same, exactly the same. Okay, and the last one would be J. Okay, and J is -5 and 1. And J prime then would be, remember this is X and Y. The Y is multiplied by a -1, and the X comes as a Y value exactly the same. Okay, so now that I have those points, we can graph them because we're trying to find out whether they're going to be congruent or anything like that. But we do know that the only one that changed in shape, and not only shape but in the size, is when you do a dilation, not when it's a rotation. Rotation, you keep exactly the same thing. Okay, so let's start with the points. -1, it's going to be here, and a +3. And this is H. Okay, -8 and a -5. This is -8 and this is -5. And this is F prime. Then I'm going to go to -8 but a +3, right? Which is right here. And then the last one is -1 and -5. and this will be my J prime. So if you connect them, I know what you're thinking. It looks exactly the same as. Did you really rotate it? Yes, and the way that you're going to notice the rotation, guys, is when you look at actually the labels, right? Okay, so this is going to be my rotation, okay? So let's look at the answer choices. Letter A says the square FGHJ is not congruent. Can you tell that they're not congruent, or can you tell that they are congruent? Yes, they are congruent. So no, that's not right. Letter B, the square FGHJ and F prime, G prime, H prime, and J prime have 12 square units of area overlapping. Well, if I count them, actually it's only 2, 4, 6. It's only 8. This is what is overlapping, right? So no, that's not true. Okay. Letter C, the square FGHJ has the same orientation as the other, as my prime, right? And I know what you're thinking about that one. Miss, it looks like they're pointing the same way. Since it's a square, we cannot really see that. But when you guys do a rotation, the orientation doesn't stay the same. Okay? Because it's like, think about like a clock, right? So when the little hands of the clock move, they don't stay in the same orientation. They keeps on changing and changing, right? Okay? And the last one says each side length of a square FGHJ is equal to the corresponding sides of my prime. And that is completely true. Okay? That would never change because we keep congruency, guys. Okay? So the answer is letter D for that one.